Shabbat Shalom, Ma'afe Hayom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Ma'afe Hayom. Shabbat Shalom, Ma'afe Hayom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome to our service. It's kind of funny that people get used to where they sit. We were talking about that. That Tevye had his seat by the western wall or whatever it was in Fiddler. And I'm so used to seeing you guys over here, so I'm going to have to readjust myself as to where everybody is. And welcome to everyone that's watching as well. We had a large crowd last week that was virtual. We're going to begin with the lighting of our candles, if someone would like to come up and light for us, on page 2. Any kind of volunteer. I guess you're still walking down the aisle. Okay.
All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat.
May the Shabbat candles that we now light inspire us to see justly and gently, to look honestly and with kindness, and to see what is holy in each other. Well, as we turn in our prayer books to page 4, Hine Ma Tov, how good and pleasant it is for all of us and all of you watching to be with us this evening, will join Hine Ma Tov.
And if you'd like to take just a moment to introduce yourself or to say Shabbat Shalom to someone sitting nearby or to introduce yourself in the chat if you're watching on YouTube. Hine ma tov u'manayim shavet achim gam yachad Hine ma tov u'manayim shavet achim gam yachad Hine ma tov shavet achim gam yachad Hine ma tov shavet achim gam yachad Hine ma tov u'manayim 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 shavet achim gam yachad Hine ma tov ya la la ya la 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 Hine ma tov ya la 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 הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
I'm glad we chose a long prayer to have my technical difficulties taken care of with all that we have. Let's turn in our prayer books to page 8. At the bottom of the page, we'll continue with our family prayer. May we never take for granted the gift of Shabbat as we sit nestled in the Rocky Mountains, sharing this humble moment with family and friends. The satisfaction of celebrating Shabbat hearten our spirits, and let Shabbat peace bring quiet to our souls. Allow this time set aside for song and prayer to bring us closer together in thoughts and deeds. Let this space we share become our place of devotion, glowing with reverence and filled with our traditions. May the end of this week encourage us to examine our actions. Let us look ahead toward the new week so we're worthy of all of God's blessings. The top of page 8 as we welcome the angels of peace and join together. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, ay, ay. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, ay, ay. Boachem l'shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nil Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nil Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, ay. Baruch Hu Nil Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzitchem l'shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzitchem l'shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, ay, ay. Tzitchem l'shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We turn to page 12 in our prayer books, the top of the page. We lift our eyes to the mountains, from where does our help come? As we join together as Sinai.
Es Sinai el Harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Es Sinai el Harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh shamayim va'aretz. Es Sinai el Harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Es Sinai el Harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh shamayim va'aretz.
As we travel back to the 16th century to the town of Svat, this was the center of Jewish mysticism, and this is where we learn and see the Sabbath as a bride. We continue the top of page 16.
Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei pnei Shabbat nikavela Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei pnei Shabbat nikavela Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei pnei Shabbat nikavela Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nekavela Shamor v'zachor b'ribor echad Hishmianu el hameyuchad Adonai echad u'shema echad L'shem u'tiferet v'litchila la 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 Echad odi likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nekavela Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nekavela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha Ki yehi mekor ha'veracha Mirosh mikedem nesucha Sof ma'aseh b'machsheva tchila la 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 Lecha dodi likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nikavela Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nikavela Mikdash melech ir melucha Kumitzi mitoch ha'aflecha Rav l'shevet be'emek halacha Vehu yachmol alaychem la 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 Lecha dodi likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nikavela Lecha dodi likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nikavela.
At the bottom of page 18, we rise, face the rear of the sanctuary as we greet the Sabbath bride.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha u'v'tzala Toch emunei am segula Boi chala La 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 Lecha dodi likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nikavela Lecha dodi likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nikavela La 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 Lecha dodi likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nikavela Lecha dodi likrat kala Panei panei Shabbat nikavela.
The top of page 21 as we continue with Psalm 92. It's known as one of the oldest psalms for the Sabbath day, actually recited, we think, in temple times. Let's continue responsively in English. It is good to give thanks to you, O Lord, to praise your name through song, to speak in the morning of your loving kindness and your faithfulness each night. The music of the lute and the harp, the melody of the lyre, I'll sing with my delight as we continue the bottom of page 20.
Tzadika tamar yifrach ke'eres bavanon yizkeh shetulim bebeit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva deshenim vera'ananim yehi
back in 1921 with the Boston Globe, there was Dr. Crane offers 10 pieces of advice, and he did it for a number of years, but this was the best, just for today. Why don't the Wolves lead us in this? Welcome back. We're glad to have you back. And Mazel Tov on the wedding that's coming.
Thank you. Just for today, I will live one day only, forgetting yesterday and tomorrow, and not trying to solve the whole problem of life at once.
Just for today, I'll be unafraid of life and death, unafraid to enjoy the beautiful and be happy. People are as happy as they make up their minds to be.
Just for today, I will adjust myself to what is, and not try to adjust everything to suit me. If I cannot have what I like, I will try to like what I have.
Just for today, I'll be agreeable, cheerful, charitable, do my best, praise people for what they can do, not criticize them for what they cannot do. And if I find fault, I'll forgive it and forget it. I'll try not to improve nor regulate anybody except myself.
Just for today, I will have a plan. I may not follow it exactly, but I will have one. It will save me from worry, hurry, and indecision.
Just for today, I will get people off my nerves and not get on theirs. I'll appreciate them for what they do and what they are.
Just for today, I will not show if my feelings are hurt.
Just for today, I'll find a little time for quiet, to relax, to realize what life is and can be. Time to think about God and get a better perspective of myself.
Just for today, I will look at life with fresh eyes and discover the wonder of it. I will know that as I give to the world, so the world will give to me.
Thank you. And we have surprise guests for Baruch Hu.
Yes, Mark and Ella, you can come grab the mic from Pam, and Mark and Ella are going to
Return
lead
to
us
page-
in Baruch Hu.
Page 24, as we all rise for our call to worship.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch et Adonai Hamivoram. Baruch Adonai Hamivorach, Hamivorach Leolam Vael. Hamivorach, Hamivorach Leolam Vael.
Thank you. We'll see you for the Shema in a few minutes. We'll turn our prayer books to page 28. The author of this prayer, it's interesting, took the words of Moses and Joshua, were said 3,000 years ago, but makes it relevant today, that when there's darkness, we pray for protection, and the sun to rise in the morning. We continue, page 28.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha avta, Amcha avta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu lemadeta, Otanu lemadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu, Uvkumeinu nasiach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki ahem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla negei yomam v'layla ve'ahavatcha al tasir Mimeinu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Ohev amo Yisrael.
And we invite up on page 30.
Siva
Girls.
and Maya and Lila and Mark and Ella to come and lead us in the Shema.
Everyone gather around.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchutov Leolam Va'ed.
Thank you. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha b'derech uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha ug'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtabtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
I don't know if you've had the opportunity, whether you've just come back to Vail or you're always here, to see those sunsets are just spectacular. The contrast of the green and the blue sky, and it's been beautiful, and that's why we're so grateful to be here and to have views like that. Top of page 32 as we continue with our prayer of gratitude. As the sun sets slowly behind the mountains of Vail, we gather together appreciative of the many gifts we enjoy. This Shabbat, amidst the peacefulness of these surroundings, let us no longer focus on that which we desire, but rather upon what we already savor, the quietness of the creek and the soft mountain air. We thank you each day for health of body, mind, and spirit. Let our daily actions reflect our gratefulness for our lives every moment with every breath. As we recite our prayers surrounded by family and friends, let us joyfully lift our voices in song, grateful to God who has given us the blessings of Shabbat. Middle page 32 as we continue.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Malchutecha ra'uvanecha, bokei ayel lifnei Moshe, ze'elianu ve'amru, ze'elianu ve'amru, Adonai imlach le'olam va'ed, Adonai imlach le'olam va'ed.
Well, in this Shabbat evening, we seek peace and comfort. We ask that you shield us from hatred and destruction that plagues so many corners of the world and console those in need. The top of page 34 as we join together, Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Nehamidenu Malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Nehamidenu Malkeinu l'chaim. Ushmor Tzveiteinu, Uvoinu, L'chaim u'shalom, me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Nehamidenu Malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Nehamidenu Malkeinu l'chaim.
We read in the book of Exodus, in 6 days the Lord created the heavens and the earth. The seventh day he ceased from his work and rested. Bottom of page 36. The soft Vishamra.
Vishamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam, berit olam, beini uvein b'nei Israel oti leolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat Shabbat va'inafash Shabbat Shabbat va'inafash Shabbat Shabbat va'inafash.
Well, there are those in our community who are in need of healing of body, mind, or spirit. If you have a person in your life in need of healing, please feel free in just a moment to share their name as we move about the sanctuary. We continue Mishaberach, page 38.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say
Keep in our thoughts and prayers Gail Balin, Sue Beiser, Linda Cullen, Blanche Deutsch, Lynn Deutschman, Carol Ann Finn, David Freed, Jane Friedman, Deborah Goldman, Cliff Goldman, Donald Jaffe, Warren Janowitz, Mary Sue Katz, Skip Clowens, Herman Keek, Brian Kushner, Renee Myers, Pedro Prince, Stephen Reese, Roberta Scheller, Sam Schwartz. A little bit for your foot, I saw you walk in. Well, extra blessing, it's okay. Okay.
Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We turn to page 40 and rise. We'll continue with the Reader's Kaddish.
Yitkada veitkada shemei rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divra kirte ve'amlich machute.
B'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayedecho Beit Yisrael ba'gala u'vizman kariv.
Ve'imeru.
Amen. Yesh me'rabba mivarach le'alam lameo maya yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'ishtabach, yitpar v'yitroma v'yidnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitala, shemei dekudsha,
Brechu.
le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata.
Tishbechata v'nechemata damiran b'yama.
V'yimeru.
Amen. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Page 42.
Anananananana Adonai. Ananananana svatai tivta. Ananananana ofi yagid. Tehilatecha. Ananananana Adonai. Ananananana svatai tiftach. Ananananana ofi yagid. Ofi yagid tehilatecha. Ananananana Adonai. Ananananana svatai tiftach. Ananananana ofi yagid. Ofi yagid tehilatecha. Ananananana Adonai. Adonai svatai tiftach. Ananananana ofi yagid. Ofi yagid tehilatecha. Yehi uratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Yehi uratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri ve'goali. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri ve'goali. Yehi uratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Yehi uratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri ve'goali. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri ve'goali. Yehi uratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Yehi uratzon imrefi v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri ve'goali. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri ve'goali.
A nice way to start summer. Very peppy, thank you. Someone was asking me what I was going to talk about tonight, and I said, I'm going to talk about Shemitah. They said, we know what a shmata is, Shemitah. So there aren't that many people that really get to study this particular law, but that's what's coming up this particular week. But to introduce, let me go about a different way. These past 2 years or so, we'd like to think of them as the COVID years, we've experienced a time of rest. It's a time of rest that I don't think has ever been imposed on any of us before. During COVID, some of us did puzzles, others we baked bread, others continued to work from home while Zooming, which we never thought we would ever do. But did you know that this period of rest brought about by COVID has precedence in the Torah? And it's called Shemitah. It's a year of, translated literally, a year of release. And though I studied the biblical text multiple times in rabbinical school, I never quite understood this concept of the Torah, of this thing called Shemitah. It seemed impossible and unrealistic that every 7 years, well, you would stop working and take a year off to rest as a way to honor God and respect the land. We read in the book of Leviticus, it says, when you enter the land that I assign to you, you shall observe a Sabbath of the Lord. 6 years you may sow your field, but on the 7th year it shall rest. You shall prune your vineyards for 6 years, gather your yield, but on that 7th year it is put to rest. Well, for an entire year, farmers were not allowed to financially benefit from their land, and they couldn't plant, nor could they harvest the crop. So I wondered, what did the farmers do all during this time, during this Shemitah year when they were not allowed to work? Many of us, work sustains us, it creates us, it gives us meaning. So create meaning in their lives. Now, while the laws of Shemitah, remember it's just translated, not only did they seem to me when translating and reading and studying them impractical, but I also wondered if giving the land a break every 7 years, does it really make a difference? What happens when we stop interfering with nature? Well, not by choice. Our world for over 2 years was experiencing, I think, this kind of form of Shemitah or rest. With most of the world under some form of a lockdown, Mother Nature has, in many ways, had a chance to reboot. In other words, nature was taking a breath. So looking back, consider what were the benefits, if any, of stopping? Well, I think for one thing, we weren't speeding from one thing to the next, and it gave us time to begin to reevaluate the way in which we're living our lives. Have we made good choices that we're proud of, or are we the best versions of ourselves? We can see now that it's easier to avoid these challenging questions if we're so busy and we don't have that moment to stop. It's just not that simple. Well, Rabbi Judah Lowy, he was the rabbi of Prague, was an important Talmudic figure. He was really a mystic, Jewish philosopher, most well known for the tales of the golem. But the rabbi who lived in the 17th century also pointed out, and it was an interesting story that he talked about with the story of creation. It was written in such a way, he said that each of the 7 days was a new creation. It's seen as a closer step that we take toward a conclusion. And that conclusion, of course, is called Shabbat. But then he asked, what was creation's climactic finale? The act of stopping. Shabbat. So why should God have considered it so important for all of us to stop? And the answer was from an 18th century rabbi, the Vilna Gaon. He put it this way. He said, God stopped to show us that Shabbat only becomes meaningful to us when we start to think about what is Shabbat and why it was created. Well, before COVID, we're always on the go and we're always trying to reevaluate our priorities and find a way to find new meaning in our lives. But based on living in what I'd like to think is a Shemitah world, based on being still. Shemitah, again, is that act of stopping. It's a way of practicing not what we do, but rather who we are. We're forced to wrestle with our mind and question the purpose of our days. So some of us enjoyed spending the days at home just hibernating. It wasn't such a bad thing. And others, they were waiting for those days when COVID would no longer be a threat. But our rabbis were there to remind us that God created Shabbat to encourage us to take a break. Take a break every week, even if you're coming to a Shabbat service or watching it virtually. Instead of focusing on the world and everything that's going on around us when you put on the TV, you need to take a break. So God gave us these laws of Shemitah, and I began to understand them a little bit better to remind us of the value of all that nature provides us and acknowledge that both of us, nature and us, need to take that rest. Well, this extended post-COVID world of vaccines and medicines, it signals that long Shemitah day or year, well, it's coming to an end. And I walk around the grocery store or walk around the village, and our Shemitah year, you can see, is almost over as everybody's taking off their masks and they want to start eating out again. But it's still important, I think, to hold on to that ancient wisdom of the Torah and remember those laws of Shemitah, that all of us, including nature, needs that opportunity to rest. There will be no rest this summer. I take no credit for this amazing new way that we can see what's going on within the congregation. 24 hours a day, Janet was working on this. But it's a way of really visually seeing what's happening in the congregation. And it's starting in a week. It really begins. So not to really describe all of these things, but to offer all of you. And we know we've had about 125 people watching or more virtually. So we invite our president-to-be, Stephen Wellens, for welcome. Up.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Obviously, the summer has arrived as we have more and more people every week. I want to welcome everybody watching us via streaming. We hope to see all of you here shortly. Just want to highlight a couple of very interesting events coming up, and I hope that you will be in town and participate. June 19th, Father's Day, Leadville cleanup at the Leadville Cemetery. If you've never been, it's a wonderful place. I'm there every year. One of my very, very dear friends' child is buried there, and we pay tribute to him every year. But it's beautiful. We were there in the winter in February, but in June, I think you'll understand how important it is. We've got the 28th is the annual meeting. If you're in town, we'd love you to be there as we install the new officers. Certainly July 9th, July 30th, Mountaintop Shabbat. We've got an event with the Last Kings of Shanghai. Things on here, anything we're missing, Rabbi?
It's all on. Check their newsletter. That's
Check
the best
the
we can
newsletter.
say.
This is really beautiful. It used to just be a list, but Janet has outdone herself, and it's very easy to see. It reads like a calendar, and we look forward to seeing everybody here shortly, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Anything you'd like to? Why don't you talk about your friend who's coming to sing with you at the first mountaintop?
Yes, we have an incredibly talented Jewish musician joining us for the first mountaintop service, Colleen Dieker, who is a violin player, vocalist, and keyboard player, who will be enhancing our service. We have so many bar and bat mitzvahs coming up this summer too, including Harley Ross, whose bat mitzvah is tomorrow, our first one of our busy B'nai Mitzvah season, and all kinds of other things. You can find out more in the leaflet and the newsletter as well.
Thank you. When you come to services, please take one. It'll be updated every week with changes and all the additions that we want to make in here. And the second mountaintop is when we're dedicating a new Torah for the congregation. So that'll be also a very, very exciting moment, but there's more than we could possibly say. It's going to be a good, busy summer, so please come and join us.
Probably a Torah like you have never, ever seen before. It is very, very cool.
Let's return to our prayer books. So we turn to page 60 in our prayer books and rise and join together Aleinu.
Please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gidula le'otzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoy ha'aratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, ve'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'nemar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol haaretz, Bayom hahu, Yiyeh Adonai echad, U'shemo, U'shemo echad.
At this moment in memory of our loved ones who are no longer with us, we join hands in love and remembrance. A link has been broken in that chain that bound us together. Yet strong bonds of love and home hold us one to another. In solemn testimony to that unbroken faith which links generations one to another, we call to mind those whose yahrzeit we observe this month. Elizabeth Adler, Madeline Barnett, Mark Behan, Gloria Block, Anna Brightboard, Goldie Cohen, Herbert Dvorkin, Herbert Edinburgh, Estelle Fleischer, Inez Gerson, Harriet Goldberg, Eva Goldman, Bernard Kaplan, Eugene Kleinman, Frank Lautenberg, Stanley Lear, Sigrid Linz, Irma Ludwig Meyer, Raphael Picciotto, Karen Pope, Shirley Port, Jacob Rice, Tara Rizzo, Leonard Rothman, Rhea Scheller, Marjorie Schaff, Lee Scrudders, Milton Schoenholtz, Marshall Siegel, Florence Singer, Shirley Steller, David Stern, Ann Waldbaum, and Phyllis Zerden. If anyone else is observing a yahrzeit tonight. The Mourner's Kaddish can be found in our prayer books on page 64, and those who wish may join with us as we say, Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemer rabba, v'alma divrach hibrutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechal Beit Yisrael, b'agalav izman kari v'imramein. Yehei shemer rabba mevarach le'olam omeomaya. Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'rechu. Le'elamin kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma v'imramein. Yehi Shlomo Rabbamin Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imra Amen. Oseh Shalom B'imramav, Uyaseh Shalom. Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imra Amen. You may be seated. We have another special program of almost 10 days that will be covering the Bishvil HaMachar, which are the wounded Israeli soldiers that will be visiting with us. They'll be here for part of the mountaintop, right? Part of the mountaintop, and then for their, we'll have one Shabbat service with them out at the Molina Ranch. So we encourage you to join us in support of them and the program. And more publicity comes out about that, but it's an amazing thing. We've done this for a couple of years now. So we look forward to having you. Oh, there's a tune that David Cohn
Yes, David had a special request for Adon Olam tonight.
Like that Georgia fight song or something?
It's Louis Armstrong.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay, Wonderful World.
Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Leit Nasa V'chefzo Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, Ve'acharei kichlotako levado yimloch nora vehu haya vehu hoveh vehu yeh betifara. Vehu echad ve'ein sheini lehamshil lo lehachbira beli
That way your mother
reshit
can see you.
li tachlit ve'oz ve'hamisra Vehu Eli, Vechai Goli, Vitzur Chevli, Beit Sarah, Vehu Nisi Umanosli, Minat Kosi Beyom Ekra. Be'ado afkid ruchi be'et ishan ve'aira v'imruchi geviati Adonai li v'lo ira.
Oh, yeah. Right. Tain Adonai Yvarech et amo v'shalom. May the Lord grant strength to his people and bless all peoples with peace.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pori hagafen l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lachem min haaretz b'tei avon.
Shabbat shalom.
There's wine and juice in the back.
Wine, juice, and challah in the back.
Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam.
Good choice.
Bim bim bam.
Good choice.
Bim bim bim.
That was a good choice.
Yeah, I like that. That's fun. Great to have you.
Good to see you. Good
You too.
travels.
It's great to see you.
When I was in Israel in February, we went to a Shemitah farm.
We did what?
We went to a Shemitah farm in February.
You know, they have the label on it. Where did you? Oh, when you were there.
When I was there, we went to Shemitah.
I think it's fabulous. started with Shemitah.